So yeah, I
And I
saw
mean,
that new movie, The Lighthouse, last night. The one with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. It was
oh yeah,
pretty gnarly. Like uh, it's just a definite definitely a nice portrayal into like slipping into madness. Um, but yeah, it's kind of interesting seeing Robert Pattinson do something like that, like right before he's about to do the new Batman movie, because Christian Bale kind of did something similar with like American Psycho, doing that before Batman. So maybe
I
this
love
is
the
kind of like
Joker.
his American Psycho.
I thought the Joker movie was brilliant.
Oh yeah, dude, that movie ruled.
Yeah,
Joaquin was awesome.
that was a very good movie.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm definitely excited for DC's future. We got some. They're making some moves. They're making some moves. Looking
Yeah.
looking uh looking prosperous.
So, anyways,
Yeah.
man, if you're loaded up, ready to go.
Oh yeah,
Good.
dude. We've been recording for like a minute now. So
Oh,
what's up,
really?
guys? This is episode 4 of season 2 of the Tide podcast. I am Adrian.
And I'm Steve, and I didn't know we were recording.
Yeah, yeah. We're just here on Epstein's Island, hanging out in that weird ass like fucking shrine thing. Just enjoying the artwork. Obviously, the artwork that is of age, and any of the other artwork has already been handed over to the FBI. So just chilling, relaxing, eating some pizzas. So what are we talking
Nice.
about today, Steve?
Um, God, it's been a while since we recorded, hasn't it? You've been
Yeah,
super busy.
yeah. It's been definitely been a bit.
It's been busy. Just work for me. It's been good. Like where I work, it's almost like a roller coaster. Like I really enjoy roller coasters, but at some point, you kind of want to get off the roller coaster.
Yeah,
It's kind of like what my job is like. It's like, okay, this is fun. Okay, I'm ready to get off now. And I shit you not, I'm pretty sure I actually like said yabba dabba do myself as I was like leaving the other day. Just one of those like, oh my god, yabba dabba do, I'm out of here. Um, but it's good. Um, worked last night. I have the next couple of days off because it's Yvette's birthday tomorrow, so we have a birthday thing for her tonight, and then we're gonna go Disney tomorrow. So it's gonna be fun.
nice, nice.
Went back to prom.
Oh yeah,
That was
how's that
good.
been?
So it's been great. Everybody loves me back. It's like the instructor's cool. He's like, "Oh man, we thought we scared you off." It's like, "No, I've just been really busy. Um, spent no time at all getting back into it." Actually, I'm surprised how much I remembered, which I guess is a good thing. But my instructor has a way of kind of targeting certain people for demonstrations, and if you're not there for a while and he likes you and he sees you again, he's probably going to use you as a
Yeah,
demo piece.
yeah. The
And
Uki.
you yeah, when we did that club class when he came out in March, he actually met my instructor too.
Yeah,
Big, just dad guy, just this big, just bulky dude. Just he's got like a beard gut and everything, but he's scary to be like on the receiving end of. Like he is so fast and
yeah.
so just and when he'll pick on me for like instructional purposes, it's like, dude, you're scary and you actually hit really hard. I'll live with it, but just know that you terrify me. Um,
He looks like the cop from Breaking Bad.
he really does. He does look like Hank. He's got a little bit more of a gut than he
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
I'd say Hank is a little bit more uh,
yeah. He looks like a
yeah,
retired Hank, like a retired officer.
yeah, like a tired Hank. Um, but God, he is terrifying. So we were doing some sparring, and the one guy that I usually sparred with, he was there. He's cool. He's like a retired. like Marine Corps or something. Um, and he goes a little hard. Like we know like how hard we can go with each other before we actually start like beating the shit out of each other. And I like that because I can be hard with him, and he'll just like throw it right back, and it's good. He'll actually throw a couple curveballs at me, like, "Hey, you weren't supposed to, do that or go this way." It's like, but no, I decided to. It's like, all right. It was interesting because we were doing. I think I told you we were doing ground jitsu stuff. Um, it's just very basic shit, like buck and roll, trap and roll, and stuff like that. And
Nice.
then,
We were actually doing buck and roll this week at my gym, so that's
really,
cool. Yeah.
so, um, so we were doing that because there's a couple guys that really wanted to do ground stuff. So like, okay, we're going to do ground stuff. And then, in typical Doug fashion, my instructor, he's all, okay, now we're going to implement, something else. So he lets us take out our trainer knives. Okay, now we're doing, so you guys are rolling around. One of you has a knife. Go. And I'm not going to lie, I would have been killed my first time. No, I was the one on my back, and then we had my partner on top, kind of straddled on top, where like a trap and roll would be like a good way to get out of it. But now he has a knife. How do you deal with that? And he went right for my neck. I'm like, okay, I died. And we kept doing it. Eventually I got better. It's like, okay, I'm not dying this time. I didn't die that time. Um, it was a fun little thrill. Um, and he had us do a lot of shrimping. I hate shrimping, but um,
It's necessary. You got to create that distance.
yeah. Well, in Krav, how we would utilize the shrimp, or after we shrimp, our leg would be at pretty much like face level to the dude. We follow that up with like a good couple kicks to the face and be done with it. And actually, the guy that I was sparring with actually twice got me in a shrimp where I would have been on the receiving end of like a straight, just full on like foot to the face. That would have sucked. Um, we were joking about doing fall breaks. I mean, fall break. I know
Yeah.
fall break, but we were joking about doing it outside on the asphalt.
Yeah.
Have you guys done anything like that, or is it just strictly math?
No, we do mats, but like our mats before we redid them were kind of like asphalt. I mean, they weren't they weren't very good. They had been around since like the '90s, so it was kind of like
Really?
yeah, it was kind of like training like what they would be using like in Brazil. None of this none of
No,
this fancy padding or anything like that.
but we were actually joking about that. Like, hey man, let's go out to the alley and do some fall breaks. And they'll be like, oh yeah, great idea, maybe later. But nobody was really keen on doing it. I was off of it. Um, except for Doug. Doug pondered it, but that's how Doug would do it. Um, no, it's fun. There's a new kid who is okay, but there's one of the guys that trains with us. He's a bit of a special case. But let's say that he's somewhere on the spectrum, and he gets a little overzealous with training and
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
constantly give him shit. Actually, when I first started going to Prague, he was the guy that I just happened to be partnered with. He likes to kind of swoop in and take the new people, but he trains them wrong and he goes off the script
Oh no.
and he goes off the exercise where it's like, okay, we're doing simple front kick. And with him, it'd be like, okay, I want to do front kick, but then I'm going to, lean in and follow with an elbow one, elbow two. It's like, well, what are you doing? I don't do that. Just follow the instructions. And my instructor does. He's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, he uses some very colorful language to describe them. It's funny. Doug doesn't put up with shit. Like, I don't want to say it on air what he says. I'll tell you later, but it's pretty funny. Here's
Not
this guy.
exactly politically correct.
He's doing that. Dude, that appreciate your enthusiasm. enthusiasm, but right now we're doing this.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing headbutts? We're not doing headbutts. What are you doing? We're doing we're doing knee to the body, advanced band, elbow elbow. We're doing that. How did headbutting get factored into this? But again, the guy's somewhere on the spectrum. You said you had a thing going on yesterday, right?
Yeah, so we had a big promotion ceremony at all of my gyms. Like we have a bunch of gyms in the Colorado area. Um, so we had a big ceremony where a lot of people got new belts, and then a couple of the black belts got some stripes on their belt. So it was nice. Everyone from all the gyms got together to train for like about an hour, and everybody that was getting promoted had to train the entire time. So that was that was kind of fun, seeing them get put into the Shark Tank like that and have to try and
That's cool.
survive. So that was neat. We got a couple of people at my gym that got their black belts, so that was nice.
Nice.
And then some people got their first
Oh,
their blue belt, so that's the first one after white. So that was cool seeing being able to see that. We had actually a husband and wife couple got their blue belts together, so that was cool. And
nice.
one of the other gyms had a father and son get their blue belts, and the father was actually like I think they said 81 years old. So
Oh, wow.
and him and his son were able to get their blue belts together. So that was pretty cool. It's cool to see that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
How,
we just
how
passed
close are you to a black belt?
what's that?
How close are you to a black belt?
I still need to get my brown, and then after brown, it's gonna be black. So, it's probably gonna be like several years. So that's like way in the future. But yeah,
Still pretty
I
badass
was just
though.
saying we just passed Halloween. How was your Halloween? Were you able to do anything?
Okay. Oh, you can cut out. What'd you say?
Oh, I was just saying, we just passed Halloween. Like, how was your Halloween? Were you guys able to go to any parties or do
Oh,
anything
yeah.
like
You
that?
know what? I had the day off and that worked, so I had nothing going on. I
Oh,
stayed at home. I've been investing all of my time in writing my Iliad for the Quantum Drift, and it's been going along very well.
nice.
Um, like soon, I'm going to be sitting down with some programmers eventually in the not too distant future. My goal is hopefully by January. Um, just the world is shaping up, and I know that the people who volunteer to be a part of the debate are still kind of scratching their heads, wondering like what this thing is, and like, okay, well, it was originally one thing, and then it kind of took a turn to something that's even better than what I originally wanted it to be. So that's good. So it was a good, I'd say like a reboot, or maybe like before I got too invested on committed to doing it one way. It was like, hey, why don't you try it this way? It's like, oh, then that actually works much better. Um, but I've been busy just writing. Um, I think building a universe for players essentially. Um, I'm really excited. So there will be, uh, hopefully in the not too distant future, some really big steps towards a final product.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and for those of you guys
as
listening, we did an episode. Well, we kind of went into this a couple episodes back. I believe that was episode 2, where we talked a little bit about the drift. So if you guys are listening
yeah,
to that
so
and kind of want to hear more about that, just go back a couple episodes.
yeah, I mean, if you don't want to sit through an hour of me rambling, it's essentially going to be a text-based MMORPG with a linear timeline where people are allowed to upload their own descriptives to their actions, items, and anything in the world. So if you enter an alien forest that's purple, what does an alien forest that's purple look like? Somebody can sketch out something, doodle it, whatever, have their kid draw something. It doesn't matter how good it is. Upload it, and then you have some sort of framework, like visual framework for where for that particular location. Likewise, if you have a ship, what does a class 2 uh, mapper ship look like? Well, what they kind of look like. Somebody who likes drawing spaceships, like I used to love drawing spaceships, will sit and do a little thing and upload it and be like, yeah, here's my spaceship right here. It looks like this. And essentially all I'm giving people are templates, just blank templates. Like, here's the spec of the ship. Put a skin around that. And it's essentially a means for people to build whatever they want within this universe using just game templates. In a nutshell, that's like the basic of what it is. So.
Nice.
But making progress.
Hell yeah.
But, so anyways, I know you wanted to talk Bermuda Triangle. Honestly, I think your Epstein memes are hilarious.
Oh yeah, I've just been cranking those out.
Those are too funny. If anybody hasn't seen the Jeffrey Epstein memes at all, I mean, the guy was a colossal bag of shit. Don't get me wrong, but he did not commit suicide. That is all. And, if somebody did kill him, obviously. But, the guy was such a bag of shit and he knew too much on too many people that he was a liability. Like, he couldn't, he couldn't live. Like, he would, I bet he had so much dirt on everybody.
Yeah, he definitely did, because like so, and I've known about Epstein for a couple of years now, so I've been aware of him and the stuff that he was into, and just his all of his friends, like a bunch of high ranking like politicians, his his private plane that he would fly people to, and just like there's like plane manifestos, and there's people like on on these lists that have flown on his plane, whether they've gone to his island or other places. But yeah, one of the things that I remember hearing about a couple years ago is that he had a place in like Florida that was actually that he would actually do some of the shit and like have like high ranking people go to, and he had the place like filled with like cameras and like audio, like like microphones and stuff, and he would record these people in these really compromising positions, and that way he would use that to blackmail them and get like um and have this dirt on them so that they would do things that he wanted, and he actually he got arrested a few years ago, and basically and for the same shit. Like, he got convicted and got essentially a slap on the wrist. Like, he did like a year of like not real jail, and and then he continued doing it, obviously. And now, recently in the past like year or so, that's when he finally got caught and finally came up against a prosecutor that wasn't just gonna drop it. And there were actually like a lot of witnesses like coming forward, and he had there were witnesses before too, and like. And I think those files are still sealed, but they're starting to open some of that shit up, and hopefully, you know, hopefully they start going after some of these people that are on these lists and that they have evidence against. But who knows? Like, sometimes there's no real justice.
The guy was an enabler for really shitty behavior, but you know that there's other like wealthy, just eccentric billionaires out there that are probably doing exactly the same thing that he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, you have like the Franklin scandal from like a few years back. That was just like this bank in Nebraska that was running like the largest like pedophile ring in like the Midwest. That was tied to like all these like, again, high ranking like government officials and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then like I mean like you have tons of children that go missing like every day, and they don't always find these kids. and most of the time they end up in shit like this. You know, they get kidnapped and they get thrown into these kind of fucking circles and they kind of disappear.
Right.
So that's why I think it's like it's important that we keep we keep as silly as it sounds that we keep sharing these fucking Epstein memes and just like making it so that people don't forget about it and that people keep talking about it, because if we forget about it, then they're going to be able to sweep it under the rug and then nothing's ever going to happen with it. But if we keep talking about it, then
So, you feel like the reason why you're speaking out is because you feel that there isn't any real justice, right?
right,
Okay.
like the it like after he was found dead, like it dropped out of the media like within like a week or so.
It really did.
And no, it seemed like nobody cared anymore. But then people started bringing it back, and then the memes started coming out, and like obviously like you saw how big the whole Storm Area 51 thing became just based on memes. And this is kind of the same things happening with these Epstein memes. Like it's back in the public eye again. And then we had like the other week that the medical like a second medical examiner came out and said like, yeah, the wounds that Epstein sustained were more consistent with a strangulation of a homicide as opposed to a suicide. So that's a that was nice to see. It seems like some of this is finally starting to work. And then you have actually I'm gonna play this clip. Let me know if you can hear it. Let's see if I could.
And right. Can't wait. So thank you and thank Nero for your service. So, I appreciate it. Anyways, I just think the memes are hilarious. But real quick. Yeah, you're right. It did seem like the media just kind of fell out. And them being highlighted in the news. Like it was just big about it, which is odd because this guy had so much of so many people. So
Yeah. Listen to this. Listen to this clip real quick.
Security footage or something, and like there's like 30 minutes missing from the security tapes.
Oh yeah, they shut that they shut the security like off.
See. So anyway, Jeffrey Epstein memes, they're hilarious, but they do have a point.
Yeah.
Not supporting the guy. The guy was a colossal bag of shit. But he didn't commit suicide. Let's be perfectly honest with ourselves. He did not commit suicide. Anyways, what was the main topic of today? What were we decided? We were kind of up in the air about it, and we decided to circle back to, I think, our original episode, which was talking about the use of psychedelics with psilocybin and like DMT and stuff like that that are actually being decriminalized in certain areas throughout the U.S. and how a lot of these ancient cultures actually utilize these plants for either ritualistic purposes or for medical purposes. So we were going to dive into that, right?
The connections to the gods almost. But yeah, like you mentioned, it is starting to build some steam. After Denver decriminalized psilocybin, Oakland was the next one, and they actually took it a step further and decriminalized a lot of other plant-based psychedelics. And now I think we have Portland and some other parts of Oregon, I think, also have or are in the process of doing that. And then I know Chicago also has made steps, or they may have actually already decriminalized it. I forget, but yeah, it's definitely picking up. A lot of people are starting to notice, and a lot of people are starting to make those steps, and hopefully, at some point this can become like a federal thing, because I think it's just really stupid to make a plant illegal. Like that just sounds ridiculous. I mean, there are some that maybe we need to be a little bit careful with and help keep these plants around. Like I know, like I think it's peyote that's actually becoming endangered because it's used so much, and people are overusing it, and it's starting to become endangered, and it's possible that we can actually overuse that and kill that plant and have it become extinct. So we need to start working on things like decriminalizing
Huh.
these things, and then helping with the conservation of some of that, so that we can keep these things around.
Right. So let's rewind the clock about a year ago. Because a year ago is when this journey, especially my personal journey, sort of uh, started to present itself, and it was all because of you, actually. You were coming back into town over uh, Christmas, as you usually do, and um, we decided to engage in some spiritual healing. Let's call it that, spiritual healing. Um, Adrian, where did you first hear about this stuff? Like, what got you interested? Like, what is the what made you interested in this? And you're like, hey, man, let's go on the spiritual journey together. Like, give me to that point.
So, geez, I don't quite remember where I first heard about DMT. I'm sure it was online somewhere, and probably just that whole like, oh, it's the chemical that releases, or we think that it's the chemical that releases in your brain, like right, like when you die, and might be why your life flashes before your eyes, and stuff like that. But or possibly Joe Rogan, since
Right.
he's always talking about this
Or
kind of
Joe.
shit. But uh I was, obviously doing a lot of studying in like the ancient cultures. It's something that I'm really interested in. And they've used a lot of things like this in the past, to gain that connection with consciousness, to expand their consciousness. So
Right.
I thought it'd be cool to try. And I think that's when we started talking about it, when I was gonna come back into town.
Right. So I had no idea what any of this stuff was. I was I was very prudy. Like I would drink, but nothing else. I was very firm on my stance with a lot of these things. But um, you had your on your request list, as you normally do when you come back into town, and I try to be your buddy, and I try to accommodate for your Adrian needs when you're in town. But um, you were asking me about this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do some research. I have no idea what it is, and I could not begin to describe. It's so fucking weird. Like I was listening to testimonials. Like, what are these people talking about? This sounds so. This sounds stupid. Like, what is this? Like, I couldn't grasp like what they were saying. To me, it was so bizarre. It sounded hokey. It sounded stupid. That's coming from me. I thought it was like, okay, what? I'm watching this video of this kid, and he's talking about seeing like ancient writings on the walls, like a big hand picking them up and launching them into space. Like, what the hell, dude? Like, you can't. You sound crazy. Like when you describe like the journey, you sound nuts because it is nuts. It is so fucking weird. Um, so eventually, you're in town, and we go on our spiritual journey. And at first, you didn't really have anything happen to you. You were actually just,
Yeah, I had like a couple of little like I was in and out. Like I was seeing like maybe like glimpses of things, but I didn't have as big of a breakthrough as you did, I guess we should say.
so without going into too much detail, um, some really gnarly shit happened to me a long time ago, and it sort of scarred me in a lot of different ways that I didn't realize. And I kind of buried it. I'm doing my thing. This stuff sort of um, revisited that, and then the way I can describe it is this. you take crucial moments of your life in the past, call them like little seeds. So, this seed was planted at one point, and eventually that seed grew into like a thing with a bunch of like a tree with branches and whatnot. These branches have other branches. It's very weird. So if you're to take that, your consciousness, and you look at these events in your life, you see like big events or even little events, even the little events um, have meaning. But the seed was planted so long ago, and it grew into this ugly-looking tree. And I didn't realize how much that tree kind of affected me day to day. And this stuff really helped kind of revisit that and put things in a lot of perspective. It was very weird. Um, like each time there was a message, like the weird messages. Um, and I remember after my first breakthrough, I went back and I was watching like more videos, people's testimonials. Like, God, now I understand. Like, I get it. How like you can't describe it without sounding like you're nuts, because it is nuts. Um, so, wanting, I told you like some stories. I don't think I told you like the start to finish, like where I started and to where I am right now, as far as like um, growth wise, like medically, like how this stuff is affecting me for the positive. But like, I don't think I've really gone into that with you, have I? Sort of, maybe.
I think a little bit.
So, why don't I just rewind to the beginning?
Yeah, go for
And
it.
this will be like my testimonial, I guess. So,
Yeah.
um, for starters, this is something to not be taken lightly. Number one, this shit is incredibly powerful stuff. It requires a certain level of mental fortitude, and if you are like most people out there, don't do this. Like, it almost calls to you. Like, the more I research it, the more I look into it, there was almost like a deeper sense of calling, like, hey, could, um, there could be some benefit for you if you're to go this route. Um, Because otherwise, the alternative is spending thousands of dollars on the psychiatrist and medication. I don't need that. Like, who needs that?
Yeah, right.
Like, I don't want to be a part of the pharmaceutical system.
Get addicted to all these
Like,
opiates and shit.
right, where you have something that is actually naturally occurring that these people have been using for thousands of years, and they seem okay. Um, you know, why not try? Why not try the unconventional? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I remember. So the first couple of journeys that I took, I'm trying to remember I might get the order of the messages mixed up, but I remember like certainly the messages. Um, the first message that it was giving me was look in between, or look where there isn't. That was the message. Like, I'm sitting there, and I feel my body going through hyperspace, and the I'm just going to call them beings, for lack of a better term. I'm not going to call them gods, spirits, whatever. Just these beings, these entities, whatever they may be, whether they're a construct of my own imagination, under the effects of um, this intense stuff, or maybe it's actually left my ethereal left my physical, and I'm cruising around the cosmos, whatever you want to call it. The message was, look to where there isn't. Look in between. That was the original message. Um, what does that mean, Adrian? What does that mean? I have no idea at the time, I had no idea what it meant.
Right.
Like, so I thought it was kind of odd. Like, okay, I'm just going to put that in my mental file, and it wasn't what I was expecting, like, at first. Like, of course, it addressed other things, but the predominant message was look to where there isn't, or look in between. So kept. I would try to do it about once a week. Like, nobody's home. Just, I try to do it once a week. Because after my first time doing it, I felt like things were unlocking in my head. Like, if your head was like this big, just four-dimensional puzzle of just constantly moving gears and parts and whatnot, just constantly, almost like the Transformers logo in terrible Michael Bay movies where you see the Transformers logo and it like transforms and it's just all these like weird moving parts, like overly complicated parts for something. That's kind of what it feels like in my head, like what it was doing, kind of moving these big blocks around. So eventually, I call it my therapy session. So I have another therapy session, and this time I'm downstairs in the cave, and I was greeted by it was like the essence of my grandmother, my granny, who passed away about 3 years, almost 3 years now. Mr. She was kind of like the glue that held the family together.
Right.
And it sucks that she's gone. She was my friend. She was a unique anomaly for the world. But she was my granny. Her and I were really close, and I remember thinking about her, and I heard her voice in my head. It wasn't her. It wasn't her voice, but I knew it was her. She was speaking me more of like a angelic kind of voice. It wasn't her like. It wasn't that. It was her, but like her like.
Her energy, I guess. Yeah.
And I remember thinking, it's like, oh well, I miss you, a lot. And she said, well, that's great that you miss me, but everybody over here misses you also. And it showed me like this big, almost like glowing web of energy, just constantly darting around. And she said, oh, well, these are your other grandparents. In fact, this is every grandparent you've ever had, dating back to the beginning of time. And like, oh, well, that's weird because I had my grandfather on my mom's side that I didn't really know, and my grandfather on my father's side passed away when my father was young, so I never met him. And then my grandmother on my father's side passed away in like the mid early '90s. So I was sort of close to them, but not really. My granny was always my granny. But the fact that my granny like brought that up, it's like, well, there's more than just me, and I thought that was really interesting because I never once thought of them like that. I'm always generally talking about my granny. So that was an interesting like perspective change. Like, oh well, there's other people out there that care about you, or who still do care about you even though you don't know them. And it's like, okay, that's pretty neat. And then I remember kind of cruising around the cosmos, for lack of a better term, and I see that other similar constructs. It's this big web of this energy, but this time it was like a bluish green, and it was almost like communicating to me. And I remember thinking, wow, this seems almost like a sibling. Like, I feel like I know you, but I've never met you. And they said, oh, well, we're not siblings. We actually represent every cousin you've ever had.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's okay. Neat. So it was almost like a weird cosmic family reunion between all the grandparents I've ever had and all my cousins I've ever had. It was,
Yeah.
Adrian, it's
Your
weird.
ancestors. That's pretty cool.
Again, me saying it, I'm very conscious in saying this, knowing that it sounds batshit crazy, but this was, my experience.
Right.
But every time I would come out of it, I would feel a little bit better. Like I did my best to take the pieces of what it was trying to show me and just kind of stuff it in my pocket for when I was able to kind of lay out all the pieces. Like, okay, what can I use with what I've learned? There was so before the thing with the grandparents and the family trees and whatnot, my first real breakthrough was, again, I was downstairs in the cave, and I remember closing my eyes, and I remember seeing this, and I told you about this churning, green, pulsating blob of energy. Just this constantly churning, pulsating, just this greenish white blob of energy. Just it as big as the cosmos. Like, it's hard to put in scale, like, with these things that I'm going to be talking about. But when I close my eyes, I see it there. And this thing was weird. It sounded like the Tasmanian devil. Is that black? So that's the only way I can describe it. Just very Tasmanian devilish. And he told me its name, and it's a weird. I'm not going to say the name because it's stupid. But this thing would almost tease me. Like, it'd be there turning and undulating and just going around, and then it would almost like hurl what looked like it would take like one of its green white energy this tendrils and kind of like fling it at me, and it would look like it would almost turn into like a blade, and it would look like it would hit me, but it would come like really close, but it wouldn't hit me. It was almost like a make you flinch type thing.
Oh, was it like one of those, like, you remember those things from when we were kids, and it was like the hand, but it was like this like slime thing, and you could throw it while you're still holding onto it, and it would stick to something? Is it like that?
And so it's things sort of like the sticky hands,
Yeah.
but it would also turn into what looked like big spinning like saw blades at times too, and it would freak me out. Like, dude, what the hell? It would just kind of laugh at me like, I'm just fucking with you. So I remember standing in like a black ocean that just went on for it was like an infinity ocean.
Okay.
About up to, just a little bit past my ankles. Just a black ocean. I remember looking up, and the cosmos looked like it was like a big metal dome, just made of like different panels and whatnot, just metal panels. But I could tell it went to like the far reaches of the universe. Like, it wasn't anything that was just incorporated in Earth. I remember being just sense of scale was like, dude, that's cosmic. And then there's this very still black ocean, just almost like Thanos in Infinity War when he gets the Soul Stone, just that very
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That was black, and here's that green blob thing bouncing around doing Tasmanian devil noises, and it would go like make a throw up sound, and it would puke up this green white energy into my pool. And I remember thinking, hey, knock that off. Just stop it. And it kept doing it. So what I later discovered, so with a lot of these things that you see, you don't always get the full message until later on, after you've had time to think about it, kind of process everything. Because so much happens so fast that your brain kind of struggles to catch up. What I discovered was that this blobby thing was like a weird representation of me. And it's like, oh, okay, so like my spiritual form is like fucking with myself. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, thanks me for being, that guy. So fast forward a little bit, and I would generally have my little therapy sessions downstairs in the cave with the lights off, and I'll play some like Reiki healer music and whatnot, and it actually really helps. Like, I started to address certain traumas that happen, especially with the big event that happened to me. I'm not going to get into details about it, but you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It really, really freaking helped. And this is before I had my meltdown with you when the last time you came over. But I mean, that was sort of like the crescendo, I guess. I was just kind of keep all this to myself. I never really talked to anybody about it. At least I would joke about certain things, and I would allude to things, but I would never actually like go into detail about things using my style. But I there was another time where I'm on another journey, and this is probably one of the more prolific ones, like the one that really stands out the most. So um, I remember zipping through the cosmos, and eventually I was greeted with this female entity, if you will. And for some reason, I was looking at her, and my eyes are closed. All I could see was like a torso. I would look down, and it would just go on forever. Like I couldn't see a bottom to her, and I would look up, and I would just see um, the two arms, and then just going up forever. So I didn't actually see a head. Just picture looking at like somebody's torso, but it stretched out to infinity. So I'm looking down, looking up. I don't see a head. I don't see anything. That makes any sense. But this is so this is when it gets a little weird. So this kind of angel-looking thing kind of burst out from this torso. Not like gruesomely or anything. It's just kind of like very like big glowing light. And this thing again looked sort of pixie, sort of various came out, and it said, "Oh well, you've hardened your heart. You need to you need to. Well, I'm here to heal that." I'm like, okay, that's weird. So this pixie thing put out its arm, and I could feel almost energy in my heart. It was so weird. I think I told you about this. I felt like something was actually like pumping warmth, some sort of energy into my heart. That's really weird. Um, but afterwards, I felt like, wow, that actually felt really interesting. Like I took a deep breath afterwards. I drank some water. It's like, wow, that's actually thanks entity person. Thank you. Uh,
Thanks, space
so
lady.
well, right. It sounds again. It sounds crazy, but
Yeah, but
I actually felt pressure on my chest right like before the thing said. It's like, hey, you know what? Just you've been hurt. We want to help you. This is going to help you. And I'm like, holy shit, this okay. So um, so as the session continued, they would tell me more little insights, and it was wonderful. And eventually, there was a point where I would normally do this stuff with the lights off, and I have my cave, and it's perfectly faint. And I remember when I would do this with the lights off, it was always like super mellow. You'll see the things and whatnot. It's like, okay, that's really cool. Um, and I noticed that when I would do it with the lights on, it was usually a more intense journey for some reason. Like you would think it'd be the opposite, where it's like, oh, it's dark and spooky. It's like, no, it's like with the lights on, it's actually like kind of the imagery was a lot scarier, I would say. And there's a time where it's like, all right, well, what the hell is this? So going back to the kid YouTube video that I saw last year, where he saw like the ancient writing on the wall and like a big arm came out with Mayan head and it threw him in the face. I had a similar situation where I'm sitting there and I saw, it's going to sound stupid. It looked like a giant stepped out of my TV and it grabbed me and threw me into the couch. And this was with the lights on, and it was really weird. It's like, okay, this is kind of scary. Like the imagery wasn't pleasant. And I remember opening my eyes and just looking up at the ceiling, and this is before I had that tapestry up. And I remember seeing like three entities just kind of sitting there watching. And in my head, I said like, "Hi, what was that?" And they said, "Oh, hey man, how you doing?" Like they were super friendly. And I'm like, what's that? What is this? Like, what are you guys doing? What is the message behind it? And they said, well, you spend so much time in the darkness, which is fine, but we wanted to show you that it's just as cool to party in the light also. So, haha, we had you fooled, didn't we? You get what I'm saying? Like, it was almost like them speaking to me on terms that I would understand. Like, hey man, why are you always doing shit with the lights on? You know what? Turn the lights on. And that race in the light. It was the message of that. And I was like, oh, you guys actually got me. You know, good job. And from that point on, I haven't experienced anything like unsettling or scary, really, message wise or vision wise. So these beings, if you will, were sort of trolling with me, which Adrian is fucking weird, but this is what happened. So their messaging was, hey, it's okay to be in the darkness, but also embrace the light. Because we're just as cool as the darkness. So it was kind of their message.
We're just here to tell you
And
that everything doesn't it doesn't always have to be negative or dark, and that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
yeah, um, but that was one that really like hit home to me. It's like, okay, well, that's a thinker because here's these three. And when I see these things, these particular beings look like just almost like the silhouettes of three people kind of looking down at me from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And they're just like, hey man, we fooled you, didn't we? It's like, what do you mean? Like, what is this? Like, yeah, we just it's cool if you dabble in the darkness, but we just wanted to show you that just because we're in the light doesn't mean that we don't have a sense of humor either. We can be cool also. See, we had you fooled. Like, holy shit. Okay. So, again, that was the message clip out of my pocket. And there was a. So I wanted to try something different where I wanted to try it before I went to bed, you know, a state of relaxation. Um, before I went to bed, just in my own bed with the TV on, I wanted to see, like, what the effects would be. And I remember having kind of a rough day at work, um, and wanting to just be peaceful. My job is pretty stressful with all the noise. It's just it's a sensory overload, and so I remember going on another journey, and I was immediately greeted with this female entity who was very motherly, and it was very nurturing too. And she was asking me like, "Oh, well, how was work?" And you know, when she's communicating with me, it's all in our head. It's almost like a psychic link.
Okay.
It's the only way I can describe it. Um, I remember just telling her about my day at work that's in my head, and she said, "Oh, well, you know, I'm very proud of you. You did, you know, you handled it. You got through work. You know, very good job." And it was weird because it wasn't like I did anything like strenuous. I mean, it was a rough day at work, but it wasn't like I built a rocket ship or anything. It was just a busy day at work, and the entity was like, "Hey, you know what? You had a hard day at work, and you did good. I'm proud of you." And that was weird because it's just a mundane day at work, and here's this thing coming. It's this motherly thing saying, "Hey, you know what? You did good," and that kind of threw me off the loop. Like, oh, okay, thanks. And God, for some reason, my mind kind of reverted back to when I was a kid. Like I had my adult brain, and somehow I was able to tap into my my brain when I was a kid, and I remember explaining to this entity like how my day was, but I felt like I was explaining to her as like an excited like 10-year-old me was like, oh my god, yeah, these people came in and then they ordered this and I made them this really cool drink. Da, 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 da. I felt like I was a
Yeah.
kid when I was talking about my day at work. It was very odd, very very odd. So it was just one of those experiences where like, okay, well, it made me feel a little bit more appreciated for what I do in a weird way. That you don't need to, you know, to the moon. Everybody has their own like daily accomplishments that they should be proud of. There's just we need to take time for ourselves to kind of acknowledge what we do for ourselves. That doesn't make us like self-centered or anything. It's just a means of like self-motivation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
that was an issue for me because I usually, if I set my mind to something, I definitely achieve it. I get there. Um, but it was just very odd. And one of the occurring things in my journey is something about my right arm. I don't know what it is, but they're saying that there's an imbalance or something. And there's something weird about my right arm. I can't explain it, but like my left arm is strong because I'm left-handed, but my right arm is like, kind of on the weaker end, whatever that means. Um, it was almost putting me through mental trials. I told you a little bit about this, where I remember one time I just wanted to get up to pee, and this thing had me stop and had me look in the mirror and kind of look at myself, and it was really weird. My face was kind of turning into like this tribal-looking thing. It was very odd, but I'm there doing this, and I said, okay, we want you to turn the light off. And I remember thinking, I don't want to turn the light off. He said, well, too bad, turn the light off. So I turned the light off, and I'm staring myself in the mirror while undergoing this journey, and I didn't like it. It was creepy. It was fucking weird. And after like a few minutes or so, I said, okay, you did good. You can go pee now. Like, okay, I don't know what that was, but I really need to pee. Um, so it's just this whole process has been a means of really confronting these awful things that have happened to me. And every step of the way, it's been completely understanding. And that's what's weird about it. It's not like shrink where they want to ask you like a million questions. This stuff is already in your head. It's just kind of taking the pieces and kind of like showing you the pieces. Like, hey, tell us about this. What do you think you can do to get over this? Here, we recommend this. Very odd. Um, there was one time I told you about this. The first time I went to the little foresty area that's over there by where your parents' house is.
Yeah.
And I just set up a folding chair and I'm just out there essentially in the woods and trying to get back to nature a little bit. And I went on a journey then, and it was probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Like the trees almost turned into like a cathedral for me. It was really neat. And then there was like the shaman thing that was like doing something with like my inner energy or something. It was very odd. Um, it felt like it was putting like this energy into my left arm that almost felt like a snake, kind of like writhing into my arm, and I could actually feel it. Like it felt like something kind of slithering up my left arm, and it didn't hurt. It's just I felt it. Same thing. Same with how I felt like that one fairy entity kind of like massaging my chest with warm energy, like my heart. Just kind of a similar thing. Um, and then it asked me to put out my right arm, and when I did that, I felt the same thing, but it kind of stopped about halfway up my forearm, and the shaman thinks that, oh, well, you're off balance. You need to, breathe. You need to find your balance again. It's like, okay. Um, so, God, I'm kind of talking everywhere right now. Again, I sound great, don't I?
Well, I mean, like, since I've, partaken, I kind of get it, but I could see how someone that's never experienced anything like this could be weirded out by what you're
Right.
talking about.
So there's one day that will forever live on in my mind and infamy where I actually wanted to turn on some synthwave and just go on a journey, like a fun journey. And I remember trying to go on a journey, and it felt very empty. Like I wasn't getting that buzzing energy in my head. I was just feeling it. It almost you feel from your temples, almost like an energy working through your forehead, which is where people say the third eye is. But
Yeah.
for me, I actually experienced that where you feel the energy from your temples, just this energy, and you feel it kind of moving to the center of your forehead. I've experienced that. I'm a skeptic with a lot of things. I'm just sharing how it has gone down for me. It's not like this for everybody. Um, so, God, what was I saying? So I remember wanting to go on the fun journey, and once I was kind of at that level, everything felt very empty. It's like, well, what's going on here? Why? Where is everybody? And I remember hearing a voice saying, "What are you doing here?" So, what do you mean? What am I doing here? I wanted to, see you guys again. I wanted to, learn more from you. And they said, no, you wanted to have fun with us. We're not here for that. We're not here for your fun. We're here as a means for you to get better. And I'm like, well, yeah, but why can't we do both? And they said, well, no, we're not meant for that. Don't ever do that again. And I got this hit in my stomach, and I actually had to run upstairs and throw up. And after I threw up, I felt better. But that was the message. Like, don't use us for fun. We are not. We are a teaching tool. We're not a fun tool. Adrian, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's really weird. So I remember because you and I had talked a lot about ayahuasca. Um, the female entity that was like the motherly entity, if you will. I remember when I first saw her, when I was telling her about my day at work, and my mind had kind of reverted back to its like a childlike state of mind. I remember asking her about ayahuasca. She's like, hey, can I make ayahuasca? Can I make ayahuasca? And she said, don't you know? No, you don't need to make ayahuasca. No, don't do that. Don't do that. And finally, like in Maggie says, like, come on, please, 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 please. Finally, I felt like a zap in my temple, my right temple. It felt like a buzz, and it kind of rattled me loose a little bit. I said no, and I left it at that. Like whatever this was, that I said no, and it sent me this weird zap in my brain. Like I felt it. It felt like an electric shot. Adrian, that's weird.
Yeah.
I've never experienced anything like that. Um, so there's another time where I had gotten off work and okay, so last one. So last little story, and then we can save it for like a part two or something because we have gone on for like a little over an hour, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember coming home from work, and it was just a really, really busy day at work. This place deals with tsunamis of people. Like waters are calm, and then all of a sudden there's a tsunami of people, and
Waves,
you're trying
yeah.
to tread water. Um, I was downstairs in the cave, and I went on another journey, and I didn't have like any radios on, and my fans were off, and I heard violin music, like really pretty violin music, and I kept focusing on it, and it was so calming and so peaceful, and I was greeted by this being. I just called her the violin girl, and she said, "Oh well, I thought that you had a rough day at work. I just wanted to play some music for you to make you feel better." It's like, wow, that's amazing. Um, Adrian, that's weird. So we're going to end it on that note. We can talk more about this because I find it extremely fascinating. But essentially, every lesson that I've gathered, and even when we had our journey the last time you came into town, um, that's where I never really actually verbalized anything. I've always internalized everything. Like, I can think some things in my head, but it was you that kind of, towards the tail end there, where you kind of pushed me over that limit where, I wanted to do for you, have this, ceremony and whatnot. And there got to the point where you kind of looked at me and you said, well, this is for you also. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess it is. And that's where the floodgates finally just poured open. And
Yeah.
I probably went like an hour and a half tirade, I guess.
Yeah.
You can call it that.
I think I was like, hey, check this out. And I flipped, I opened like like the little gate thing on you, and then everything
Yeah,
just came out.
I don't think you were expecting that,
No.
but what just to get it out there, I feel 1,000 times better.
Nice.
Like more so than I've ever felt in my life. I felt 1,000 times better just getting that all out there. There's just this hour and a half of just verbal diarrhea, and as you know, from that point on, whenever I go on journeys, I'd always get this hit in my stomach like I wanted to throw up, and I never wanted to throw up. I would always internalize it, and finally, one of these beings said, "You know what? You need to purge." Like, what do you mean I need to purge? Like, no, you need to. There are toxins in you that need to come out. This is how they're choosing to come out. You need to purge. So I have my little fart bucket, and I remember throwing up and instantly feeling better. Like it felt like so much weight had been lifted just by throwing up in this bucket that I have. And I know that purging is one of the big cornerstones to these tribes that do this, where it's a means of like cleansing the spirit. It's almost like a spiritual detoxification, if you will. And yeah, it's not for everybody. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody unless you have extremely strong mental fortitude, because otherwise it's going to be too much to handle. Um, but it's because of this stuff and this journey that I've been put on from almost a year ago that has now led me to where I am now. Now I've been able to see all the pieces and everything that I've learned from my journey, and I'm applying them towards my project in quantum drift. Um, it just put me on that path. It's been a means of taking all these life experiences and say, okay, what can I work with? This is the hand I've been dealt. What can I work with? And I'm plucking away at what's hopefully going to be the next latest, greatest, biggest thing. Hopefully. I mean, we all think that, but um, so far the people that I've talked to about it seem really enthusiastic about what this could potentially mean for gaming and storytelling and community-based activity. Um, what do you have to add?
Well, since we're wrapping up, I'll save the my experiences, which have been quite different from yours, for the next episode, and yeah, maybe we'll throw in a part two, and go more into some of this stuff. But yeah, we're at an hour 7, so this is probably one of the longer episodes that we've done. Not as long as that Nazis in Antarctica episode though, where I just ranted about Nazis for like almost 2 hours. But anyways, yeah. Before we finish this up, just always want to throw some love out to our sponsors at Infinite CBD. They do provide some of
Yes.
the best CBD out there. One of the things that I've been loving is their freezing point stick, which is it's that same cream that you've tried before. The freezing point stuff where you just rub it on whatever your sore muscles are. But this is a stick based one, so it's a little bit easier to use. You can use it to apply to those hard to reach areas. But like I mentioned earlier, we were doing that big promotion ceremony the other day, yesterday, with my gyms, and I kind of rolled my ankle during one of the rolls that I was having with one of the guys getting promoted. And when I got home, I just started rubbing that on my ankle, and it felt like almost instantly better. So, this it's a nice little product. It's easier to use, or it's really easy to use, than just using the lotion, which is also good too. I mean, I have like 2 bottles of that stuff as well. But this one's cool because you don't have to there's not as much cleanup. You're not getting it all over your hands. You can just roll it on wherever you need it, just like kind of those old school deodorants, like those old deodorant sticks. So yeah, check them out, guys. InfiniteCBD.com, and use our promo code Tyde10, TYDE10, and get yourself 10% off of your order. But
Yeah.
yeah, guys, I think we're gonna close it out, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks with part 2 of this. Where we'll go a little bit more into the cosmos and some of my weird experiences there. My
Again,
interactions with
I
things.
don't want to sound like Joe Rogan, but he was definitely onto something. But it is so incredibly potent stuff that it's definitely not to be taken lightly. It's something that definitely needs to be respected. Um, it's not something you can just walk in with bravado. It will smack the shit out of you if you walk in with like an attitude, which is why it's certainly not meant for everybody.
Right.
Everybody, to each their own. I happen to be on like the farthest end of like a little sliding scale in the weirdness zone. So this shit actually helps decompress and kind of look at like these big chunks that have happened and kind of addressing those and overcoming those things. Um, from where I was a year ago to now, I feel 1,000 times better about a lot of things. Everybody still has their stupid little hangups, whatever. But it definitely put it set the course. So yeah, we'll talk more about it on the next episode. So until then, Adrian
I'm Adrian.
and I'm Steve, and keep watching
The
the
skis.
skis. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Goodbye, guys.